It is undisputed. We are the fastest hour in hockey. It's the real Kyper and Bourne show. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet Plus. Jake the Snake Schultz, Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. As always, this hour of real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Sammy, did you move off the couch this weekend, or did you just sit there and watch all the news come into your phone?
I was not on the couch barely at all this weekend. Yeah, I was golfing. I was walking around.
All right.
Enjoy this beautiful weather.
Well, your Leafs are busy.
Yeah, seems like it. Seems like they're getting lots of things done. Where do you want to start?
Matthew Knies, 6-year extension. Matias Maccelli, now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, in a deal that saw him leave Utah, Mammoth, and join the Toronto Maple Leafs for, I believe, a third-round pick.
Correct.
Conditional. In 2 years.
Yeah, conditional. But I don't think that's what anybody wants to hear.
No?
No, I don't.
So we got
we are going to talk about that.
Knies, we got Maccelli.
And
What else we got?
Elliot Friedman's report on the potential for tampering. That one caught the eyes of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been living under a rock for 24 hours, the report was on 32 Thoughts that he said he didn't really know what was happening for sure. He was very clear to say that. But that the Leafs basically were, I'm going to not say the word extortion, but they were saying basically that either you give us a pick and a player for Mitch Marner in this sign and trade, or we're going to go to the league with tampering stuff. Is that okay to say it like that?
Probably not.
Okay.
I think if you're Elliot, you wouldn't want it framed that way.
I mean, but I didn't say that.
But
Elliot
how did
said
you
that.
take it?
Well, I think
I took it the way Sammy just mentioned it.
Well, the league has sent 2 memos over the past season to teams about being aware of tampering and that they are on high alert. And this is something they have independently looked into in the past.
Yeah.
The Tavares thing, when he signed with the Leafs, they looked into that without anyone prompting that. So I think there is the threat that the league does it. I think there's also an understanding that if the 2 teams make a trade and the guy goes there, they're obviously okay with what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel like something was done wrong. So I do think that is a bit of leverage for the Leafs, that for Vegas, you don't know what the league's thinking, but you can definitely eliminate any possibilities of danger with the trade.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I do believe that this has been a practice that's been going on for decades upon decades in the National Hockey League.
Mm-hmm.
And to now all of a sudden feel like through a few memos that this type of behavior is going to change, I don't think is realistic at all.
Mm-hmm.
And just to go back to Elliot's story is the only thing the league ever has to go on is proof. And Elliot's the first one also to mention that I'm going to put this out there, but there's no proof at all. There's no smoking gun. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All you have right now is someone that leaked something to Elliot to put out.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me, without knowing anything, without talking to anybody, who would have leaked this information to Elliot? Your best guess.
Well, I mean, if it does advantage the Toronto Maple Leafs, it feels like that would be the end that it would come from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they feel that it was prolonged and happened throughout the year and something that was legitimate tampering, I think
and they would have proof of this, right?
I mean, I don't know.
Or do you just tell Elliot?
How could I know? How could you know?
No. But if you were the general manager or Brad Treliving or anyone in that organization, would you, and we're just speculating here, we don't know, I'm not suggesting I know Elliot's sources or not, but if you were to have leaked it to Elliot, would you have done it as a threat or something of substance that you have the smoking gun?
I don't know. It feels to me like if they wanted to use this as leverage, and I don't know, we don't even know that they do, but if they did, that you would talk to the team, that you would approach Vegas and be like, hey, not real thrilled about, some of these conversations we think were happening.
Can I ask, though, that to play devil's advocate for the Leafs leaking it, doesn't the fact that this getting out, doesn't that hurt their leverage too? That they are sort of complicit in this? That they, are saying, hey, unless you give us this guy, does that not hurt their leverage too in the negotiations? The fact that the tampering word got thrown out there before anything's actually done?
No, I don't see how it would hurt them.
No?
Oh, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I do believe, again, from people that I've talked to, that Nick Waugh, is it Waugh or Roy?
I think it's Waugh.
Nick Waugh was, from everyone that I've talked to, was the compensation back for Mitch. Now, was it a package? Was there others involved? I don't know, but I think it was pretty clear that Nick Waugh was under the impression that he was going to end up a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Now the tampering allegations start. Did that jeopardize anything moving forward?
I see what you mean. Between the teams, you could be like, don't threaten us. Well, we're not going to make a deal.
So now Elliott puts this story out, and if the deal was in place or the structure of the deal in place, and Elliott's story comes out, I
don't like how we're pinning this on Elliott. He had information.
Sorry?
He reported,
he reported
news.
this.
Yes.
It's his report.
Okay.
Yeah, which is...
I'm not pinning anything on Elliott. I'm just speculating on the way we might have seen this thing unfold.
Okay.
So if the perception out there is that, and Elliott did stress this in his report, that if the sign and trade goes through, there's a good chance that the Leafs will not pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So is Vegas and George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon going, oh boy, we better give them what they want now, or else?
Yeah.
I don't know.
To me,
or else they've got something on us.
When every free agent time, Kyper and Bourne, when the July 1st happens, millions of dollars are thrown out there immediately to guys that it's they haven't tampered with, right? So there's some sort of light tampering that goes on with every player, no matter what.
It's impossible not to do it.
But having said that, it feels like if they feel like they have a case, it goes way deeper than that. That you can't be like, oh, the guy signed July 1, he tampered a couple days before. That case is never going to happen. But there's been smoke with Mitch in Vegas for a year. We talked about it last year. There's stuff going around that there was something at the deadline with a 3-team trade. I think they legitimately think they have something here, and they're using it as leverage. And it's nice to see the Leafs flexing that muscle. I gotta say,
it's funny because we do heap praise on other teams when they're cutthroat and they make these. It's if you have something, by all means.
Here's the problem.
If Bill Zito was doing this, everybody in the league would be like, "What a genius, smartest guy ever!" And then the Leafs do it, it's oh,
but everybody's kind of in the same boat here, Sammy. And do you think the Leafs now, with all the links to Marchand and the Maple Leafs now, they haven't talked and they're waiting for July 1st to start talking?
But this is my exact point, Kip.
Right?
This is my exact point. There's tampering that goes on in this period, no matter what.
So why is Vegas any different from anyone else?
Because I think they think it's been happening for a year. I think they think it's been happening since last offseason. I think they think that Mitch has maybe had one foot out the door the entire season. That's what I think. And that's what I think they think.
But everybody has
done
that
for a year,
over the years.
Sure.
How about Chris Tanev last year linked to the Leafs for how long?
I don't know. I just think that if they're throwing this out there, they obviously have some sort of a case.
It doesn't feel to me like it's going to have a tangible impact on much of anything. I feel like if this sign and trade thing is going to happen, it's going to happen. I still think it ends up being Roy or Waugh. I still, I think that ends up happening.
But could Vegas be pissed off at the Leafs for thinking that they have evidence when they don't, and they're like, you know what, you don't get Nick Waugh now?
Sure.
Yeah, and if they do, that's their right. So that could be one outcome. It could be that this goes through and the league says we're taking a third rounder from Vegas in 2026.
Yeah.
I don't know. and even Nick Waugh, I'd like the Leafs to have him over getting nothing for Marner.
Yes.
It'd be nice. It'd
Yeah.
be a nice addition. But the stakes don't feel that high. Nobody's getting kicked out of the league here, right?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the league has not heard a word from anybody on this, and they don't plan on doing anything unless someone makes a formal complaint.
And that is
there-
not the way it should be.
There
though?
is a
Like,
sense that the Leafs have not been aggressive to the league. I'm hearing that they're not even aggressive to Vegas with
Great.
the thought of this.
Good.
So it's just mere speculation. It could just go away like that, and the trade with Nick Waugh could still happen, or maybe could have thrown a curveball in. I to be determined right now.
Yeah, kind of running out of time. Free agency's in, what is it? Tomorrow at noon,
Yeah.
roughly. That's so yeah, we're kind of running out of time to do anything.
I think in a perfect world, like Vegas would like an 8-year deal. There was some talk about
I saw 4.
he's not doing 4.
Yeah.
He's more like seriously, he's been through. He wants to go do this again in 4 years and find another place. And no, I think we're gonna just see. This is my best guess is that we will see if everything goes through and he gets his 8 years. I think you'll see a contract matchup just like Rantanen's.
What's that, 100 mil?
12.
8 times
12. 12 times 8.
Yeah.
And then you factor in the taxes, and then you could say that was your 13-5 in Toronto or 14 or whatever you want to justify it. But
Yeah, give Vegas credit. I got to tell you, I love Vegas. Since they've come in the league, they've mattered. They've been relevant. They've won a cup. They've been to a cup final. Fans like to go there and watch games. They continue to be aggressive. Players want to play there. They are not a non-factor in the NHL. They've been a really interesting franchise. Give them a lot of credit.
yeah,
Especially when they
still a lot
tamper.
of
They're
talk
really good.
about Petrangelo's future there. No question he's going to go on long-term IR. I keep hearing he may need corrective hip surgery
Yeah.
to the point where he may have to make a hard decision on does he want to have maybe this surgery or multiple surgeries to try to hang on to his career, or does he retire?
First thing I'd like to do is formally apologize to him during the Four Nations face-off time when he took the break, and I think I was pretty hard on him, being like, who needs this guy? I mean, he's obviously really going through it here. This is potentially career-threatening.
But at the time, and I was hard on him too, but at the time he was playing.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's
So
why it
it's
felt like
you're
he was just,
impossible to know. He played after the day he said that he had an ailment. He played 25 minutes that night.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, but now obviously in retrospect it looks mean, but at the time
Yeah.
it wasn't. Really
I remember you two being very mean, and that was actually really nice.
Oh yeah, yeah, you were great.
yeah, I remember
you were
that
great.
too.
Okay.
So finish off. What do you think the chances are of a Nick Waugh landing in Toronto?
50-50 right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there might be a part of, and George McPhee
Ekblad
and
staying in Florida from Elliott just tweeted, sorry.
Wow.
McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon, I don't know. I mean, they're pretty tough guys. If they feel like they've been bullied a little bit here with that report, maybe they turn around and pull Nick Waugh off the table and just say, you know what, we'll maybe sign Mitch to 7 years and you guys get nothing. We'll have to wait and see.
Maybe they will.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So to go along with that, so Marner is out. This is the one perk. Obviously, losing Mitch Marner, not a good thing for any hockey team. But what is fun now is that there's other things you can do with the money. And there's no guarantee you do it better, but it is fun looking at the roster now. Knies and Tavares signing for very similar cap hits to last season combined, which is interesting. And now you can bring in a guy like Maccelli. First off, the Knies thing. Let's start with that cap hit. What do you think of that contract?
Excellent. I think I do believe he left some money on the table.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah. I think realistically he could have had something north of 8 for 6 years.
Yep.
I think he gave him a bit of a break. Maybe he gave him $250,000 a year, maybe even 400,000. But it's a contract that probably compares to others that have stepped up into that realm.
Yeah.
But with the cap going up, he could have asked for new money coming in, but he didn't. And that, again, is his choice. I think in 6 years, it'll be next to nothing.
Oh my God! In 6 years, like it's the equivalent of a $5 million contract today.
Yeah.
And this guy is 22 years old, coming up on 23. And I saw some people comparing his contract to like what Paterka just signed in Utah. His was similar, but Knies has that other element of also having the opportunity to be a power forward and be physical, and it's a great contract.
I will say it's really awesome that on the locker cleanout day, I forget who it was that was grinding him a bit down there, being like, hey, like, would you sign an offer sheet? Would you sign an offer sheet? And he's like, I want to be here in Toronto. I want to be here in Toronto. I love it here. I want to be in Toronto.
Yeah.
And then have it not even get to July 1st and not much, like there wasn't much, stuff in the media about it. Like, you see a couple things floated, but nothing serious that he wants this much money or whatever. And he just signs for a reasonable number for a reasonable amount of years for a guy that's like, honestly improves every game.
Mm-hmm.
Like every game I watch him, I feel like he gets better. It's a really refreshing change of pace than the usual fist fight for every contract that they have in this market. So it's nice. I'm really impressed that he signed that contract. Really.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then now.
Can he get as early as next year to a point-a-game player?
I don't think it's out of the question. I would say he comes in under, but like if he comes in with 70 points in 80 games and, throws 100 and some hits and fights twice or something, I think we're going, that'll do.
Yep.
I'd like to see who is on that line alongside what we assume is Austin Matthews. And is it Maccelli?
Yeah. This is an interesting one. I am curious to know your thoughts on this 5'11" pass first guy who had 18 points last year.
Dubas is in ruins that he didn't make this trade, by the way.
You know what my first thought is? He's a playmaker, and I like that.
Yeah.
I don't see, you know how I feel about Matthews and Tavares, that they're goal
fighting
scorers.
to shoot the puck.
They're fighting to shoot the puck. They're hanging around the net. They're not making the plays. That was always Marner's responsibility. And, even is he going to get the chance to be that guy? It's a long shot to replace Marner with a third round trade.
Yeah.
I think we should say right now,
that's
on
not
the record
point
for Maccelli,
Yeah.
for his sake, I don't think he's coming in here to replace
coming
his
in
production.
to replace
Domi
or
maybe.
of that.
You're still holding out for probably a Brad Marchand signing, right, at $8 or $9 million.
Hotly contested debate. Maccelli wears 63, so there's the opportunity for him to collect some money from Brad if Brad were to sign Toronto. But I think what's fascinating about Maccelli is, like, to me, it's good process, and he's a buy low guy. This is a guy last year had 57, the year before had 57 points in 82 games. The year before that, he had 49 points in 64 games, and elite vision, offensive skills. Again, not Marner, but I am curious to see what the warts are. Like, you don't have a guy who's this young.
Consistency.
Yeah. I was just saying, you don't have a guy that puts up this many points at that age who then is healthy, scratched a whole bunch and gets traded for a future third-round pick if there aren't warts.
I mean, there's a guy that's like around the same stature in this very city where if the Mammoth fans traded for them, like, upside.
Is that Robertson?
Yeah.
He felt.
Robertson's not a 60-point.
No, I know, but he's shot it in the net a lot, and he had promise. He was a high pick. Like, there are some definite comparables in terms of.
He fell out in Utah because they had a bunch of other small players too, and
someone was on.
He's just expendable at that point.
Lost some confidence,
But,
had some injuries. Sounds like
some of them call him a bit of a wizard with the puck.
Yeah,
which nicknames him Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's great. There's
actually
enough guys on the Leafs who are opening up in the offensive zone, looking to get a shot. If someone can just find their way through. Mitch obviously was exceptional at that.
Yeah.
Maccelli will have the chance to be useful in that regard. But either way, it's good buy low process, and then it kind of opens up. Okay, does that mean you flip Nick Robertson and get that pick back, or Domi?
They have to unload money. They're trying real hard. So Yarncroc, Camp, Robertson, and probably Max Domi are out there right now.
Yeah,
with their salaries between $2 and $3 million.
Yeah.
So I saw Kevin Papetti tweeting about this, that Domi signed the 4-year, $15 million contract last season. Once his signing bonus is paid tomorrow, 50% of the $15 million will be paid, and he carries a 13-team no-trade list.
Yeah.
So, I mean, attractive to a team that, is looking for cap number and doesn't actually want to pay a ton of money. I'm sure there'd be some suitors for him out there, but
you do hate to lose. Obviously, he had a couple great moments in the playoffs. And I think it's unlikely that he goes. It's much more likely that he stays. But you know what name out there appeals to me? Like, were they to lose Domi, and actually appeals to me even if they keep him, is Pizzetta from Montreal. And I think you guys know it's like a running joke that I absolutely love this player.
Yeah.
He just is. He wants to punch people in the face all the time. He's 6'1", 220, and he is angry, and he plays angry. And I'm just dying for the Leafs to have someone who wants to be angry.
Which kind of makes a real interesting dilemma for a guy like Steve Lorentz, who was really shot out of a cannon from day one at training camp. He stood out as a guy that had size and could skate, and he scored a couple of early goals.
New Jersey, he went bar down, backhand in the slot for second game of the year. I was like, oh my God.
And now
like Sundin in the first 2 games.
He's going to be unrestricted tomorrow and free to sign with anybody he wants. And I found it interesting that he's still out there.
You know what? If this guy had any anger, any meanness at all, he's the nicest person. I love the person.
Just smiled too much.
Just a touch. Just a touch too much.
He has all the tools. I like how he skates, his size. I like his offensive sense, his defensive responsibility.
Penalties.
Great team guy. Everyone loves this player. But it's like, when you get in playoffs, you're just like, can you just, you're so big. Just give him one. And a team that was dying for that, if he had shown a little bit of that, there's no doubt right now he'd be signing his 3-year, $4.5 million contract, and off you go. But
can I ask you now that this is you mentioned it when we were talking about Knies, but Frege tweeted that he's been being told that Ekblad is staying in Florida. So
that helps Marchand to Toronto.
I gotta ask, does that mean what that means? Like, can they keep all three of those guys, or is that a sign that Bradley
think so.
might be out the door?
I was told well over a week ago, 10 days ago, that was their number one mandate to try to fit them all in. And I was told that Ekblad could be the real key in all of this of not taking a raise. But maybe he did. Maybe it's a slight one. But if he came in 6.5 times 8, wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, and Romanov from Long Island, he just signed an
8 year 6. Yeah.
And I wonder because that was announced, I wonder if that ended up being the conversation. Like, do you think you have a better 8 years ahead of you than Romanov? And it's like, well, maybe we're about the same player.
And he doesn't.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, okay.
I can play in big moments.
Top pair on the best team in
So it's like, that's my floor.
Years.
So the conversation about what my floor is over, because that's my new floor. I'll do it for 7, or whatever. So I bet that helped things along.
Yeah. So all that's left right now is basically Brad Marchand. Where do you stand?
Yeah. Where do I stand?
No, where does he stand? I don't care where.
You know where I stand.
Nobody cares where we stand.
Wow. I think some people might care where we stand. Where do you stand?
I'm not as sure as you two. I'm into it.
Is Kyper sure? Like, I don't know if I've ever really
on Marchand.
Yeah.
You want to give him? What did you say the one day? 9 million?
No, Biz said 9.
Yeah, that's the number that was out there.
You want to give him 9?
I'm telling you that's the number that was floated out there.
No, but if you are if you are Brad Kypreos or Nick Treliving, are you going to sign that contract?
Am I trying to win the Stanley Cup next year?
You are.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm signing him to 9, and I'm just going to eat it if I have to.
Plug your nose.
If they get Waugh back from Vegas, and they, maybe it's a Pizzetta instead of a Lorentz or something like that.
Tanner Jeannot
is another one that's attempting because he likes to fight and can shoot it in the net a little bit more, definitely more than Pizzetta. You can find a way where you go, okay, they're spending a bit more money in the bottom of the lineup for once. Maybe you're getting some more out of those guys. Is that enough?
Maybe not better, but different.
Are you getting less out of the top of the lineup? At the very least, you can do more.
Yes.
Sounds like it's going to be around 8 times 6.1.
Oh,
for
my
Ekblad.
Ekblad,
Yeah.
6.1.
From Freed,
I
yeah.
nailed it.
6.1.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
nailed it.
totally
Doesn't-
fine
hey,
league,
hey,
Gary.
he's
No,
got
no problem.
He's got
No problem. That's fine.
the money,
Give me a
non-issue for that
But
guy.
he's never made $7 million a year, has he?
No, but there
Give
is
me a
money around him outside of the game.
Is that right?
6.1's
Oh,
a
yeah.
What
joke.
does that mean? Like
There's just money's not an issue with that.
the Ekblads of the,
The Ekblads of the
Rockefeller.
world.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not.
That makes
Hey.
me so mad.
You immediately got upset about that,
That makes
number.
me so mad. That's just not like I know
Buddy,
there's taking
Ton of
less.
incentive
Oh
to
my
sign.
There's
God.
that.
taking less. I
Listen to
get
this
taking,
guy who wants to give John Tavares a statue with a plaque
Yeah.
that says,
Oh, the first
"You
guy-
took $2 million less."
the first guy that's
and
ever
Ekblad
done it.
does it for Florida.
Oh, yeah,
and you
there's-
want to dump
half
all
a mil
over him.
less.
There's
No,
Make
he's
up
not mad
your
at
mind,
Ekblad.
No,
Sammy.
I'm not mad at Ekblad at all. I'm mad at the situation that year after year after year after year, they consistently get to sign guys for $2 million less, which adds up to $8 million, which means they can add Seth Jones and Brad Marchand at the trade deadline.
Someone
2
should
million,
mention
2
this
million,
one
2 million.
show.
2 million adds up to 10 when you do it 5 times. It's a huge advantage. And Gary scoffs at it. And
As long as
what's
they
his
keep
name
winning.
scoffs at it.
As
They
long as-
scoff. All
The
they do is
cap-
scoff. We're
the cap
idiots in
is-
Toronto.
The
We're
cap
idiots.
is going to take off away.
God.
The flat cap made that much more frustrating. I do think it's going to become less impactful.
That's a joke. 6.1. Give me a break.
But he could have got. He
Nine.
could have got 9.
No question.
He could have got 9.
For sure. He's not even 30 years old.
LA was ready to stroke him a very
Oh, I'm
big
sure.
check.
They're losing Gavrikov. I bet this is part of
one
the
guy
plan.
ever takes a hometown discount in Toronto. It's like, oh, yeah. Anyways, now I'm mad.
Anyways, he says.
Yeah. They're just going to win the cup again.
I mean, as
thought-
of right now, no one's better.
What
That's
did
for
we
darn
think
sure.
of Vegas's move of Nick Hague? Because that's a player I really like. We know that he ended up being traded to Nashville Predators, where he signed a very nice contract at 5.5, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a lot of money. But, I think if you're Nashville, you're looking at free agent defensemen and you're going, this is nowhere out there. Let's just pay for the thing we want that fits and makes sense.
He's there. It's written right now. He's going to be Yossi's partner,
Is that right?
and that could be one of the better ones in the league.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting from Vegas that they're going to move from 6'6" Hague, 6'4" Waugh, potentially like a couple of these big guys. And do you think they're still going to do something with Hurdle or Carlson?
I think if they want to take a crack at Marner, they're probably going to have to move a little bit more money out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really like Carlson.
Yeah. I just worry about that.
And they already kind of got burned a little bit on the Marchand.
Mhm.
Like he left a bigger void
Yeah.
than they probably even anticipated. Carlson could do the same thing.
Mhm.
One of the original Misfit toys.
They just brought back one of the original Misfits, Riley
Oh,
Smith.
Smith went
yeah.
back, right?
Yeah. They re-signed him. Game
So-
time?
Game time.
All right, it's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please pay responsibly. Big series for my Jays, boys.
Yeah.
They open a 4-game set with the New York Yankees, who I believe the Jays are a couple games behind in the standings. Tonight, it is the Kyper's favorite pitcher starting for the Jays.
Max
Scherzer starts the game against
Husky.
Rodon for the Yankees. The Yankees are big favorites tonight, minus 140. I guess they're anticipating Max Scherzer to.
Max he's already got a start under his belt, man. He's
I
I liked his comments
he's
last
throwing
game.
BBs tonight.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I pitched it pretty good, but not how
The
I
Jays
can.
are 3 games back of the New York Yankees. They're coming off a 4-2 road trip through Boston and Cleveland, I believe. The big win yesterday. Give me the Toronto Blue Jays tonight, plus 120. Nice number as an underdog. And if I'm quickly going to bring it up here, you thought Max Scherzer was going to have a good night tonight, eh, Kyper?
Yeah.
Give me a. Okay, I'm losing it here. Give me a over Max Scherzer strikeouts at 5.5 strikeouts tonight at plus 100. If you want to parlay those together, you can do that too. but I'm anticipating a good game for the Jays tonight. Gonna be a good crowd down there. I don't know what the weather's looking like. Maybe a closed dome tonight. There's a little bit of rain in the area, but it'll be a good game. So make sure you go down to the ballpark. Anyways,
Awesome.
that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. I'm going tomorrow up to the show.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I've never been on Canada Day.
That sounds fun.
I've never been, so I'm looking forward to it.
And we are, speaking of, we will be on the air tomorrow from 2 to 4 Eastern.
No.
No?
1 to 3.
Wrong?
1 to 3. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm so bad at hosting.
We have 4 different show times this week. So, so tomorrow, we're on from 1 until 3 because first pitch for the Jays is 3:07 tomorrow, so they wanted to fit us in before that happens.
Deadline ends at 3.
Bing, we're off the air at 3.
All right.
And then the next day, we were on from 2 till 4. So we'll have our
You can all see Kip and I learning it in real time.
We'll have our Leafs hour on this will be Wednesday afternoon from 2 to 4. 2 to 3 will be our Leafs hour. We'll go more national from 3 to 4. And then we're 3 to 4, 3 to 4 Thursday, Friday. So that's our schedule for the rest of the week. And then after that, boys.
For the rest of the year.
And then after that, it's over.
Sign my yearbook?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, there you go.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we've got some signings still to discuss, free agents to discuss, maybe a new coach in Dallas, plenty more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Justin Bourne, Nick Kypreos, Sammy McKee. Vancouver Canucks closing in on an extension with goaltender Thatcher Demko. What do we know about it?
By the way, you know it's a good news day when the mics go off and it's just like still ripping everything.
Oh.
Yeah, that was some good conversation.
Are we surprised at this? Are we not? He's coming off a very tough season with injuries.
Yeah. I am surprised.
What do you anticipate here?
Well, I wonder how short the deal is. Like, if you're Vancouver, you certainly wouldn't feel comfortable giving him a very long extension, would you? You also have a couple goalies you like behind him.
If you're Demko, aren't you trying to hit a 7 or 8 year deal?
Oh, for sure. But like Lankinen just signed $4.5 million until 2030. So 4.5 Demko's going to make.
So you see a 3 or 4 year deal just to get his career going again?
I'm just like, surely Vancouver's plan is not to spend $14 million in the crease here if he gets 7.5 or whatever.
But if this guy's remotely healthy, if he gets off to a decent start in October, November, doesn't he shoot right up towards Connor Hellebuck area?
Good Demko's as good as anyone in the league for me. But
why would he take the safe bet now?
Well, he shouldn't. With his injuries, he should just be as long as possible. But I guess what I'm wondering is, what is Vancouver's plan? If he's an 8-year deal, Lankinen's 4.5, Shelov's is like the guy in the American League.
Yeah, he was the MVP of the AHL playoffs.
Just won the Calder Cup again. Like, I guess you trade Shelov's and you commit to these guys, and my math was terrible on that, but like $12 million for the 2 goalies. Is that okay? I guess Bobrovsky makes 10. They're doing okay.
Yeah, but that's one really good guy who's
and
consistent, never gets hurt.
And that's a guy that never gets hurt.
Never gets hurt. He plays every game.
But it's Frank Saravelli's report. Daily Faceoff was the first to report this. I just wanted to make sure that we gave Frank his just due here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the real benefit. I get it for Vancouver. They just want to cover themselves, but it'd be a heck of a gamble on their part to lock him in for 7 or 8 years here with
unless you think it's like
big number.
You're protected by insurance. You know, you feel like if he's hurt, then we don't pay him anyway. And if he's healthy, we like him.
Yeah.
So what is Vancouver? They're attempting to be good to convince Quinn Hughes to stay there.
I think
that's like
so.
the plan, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know what they're going to look like.
It's tough because like people have been changing teams here. It's starting to feel like if your team hasn't done something yet, that you'd be a little nervous, right? Because UFA crop's not amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Marchand, Ehlers.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a few names out there that you want.
Also talk of still not letting go completely of Brock Besser.
Oh, really?
In Vancouver. That they'd still, like, in a perfect world, to try to get him signed.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they're going to have the numbers deep enough that other teams may go. I heard the Leafs have interest in him. Minnesota, of course. There's a number
Winnipeg,
of teams
too.
that have. Edmonton wants Brock Besser.
Oh my God! Talk about nightmare fuel for Canucks fans. Fan favorite guy that was like slighted at the deadline, and then ends up with their divisional rival and lights it up. With the Oilers.
Legit 30-goal scorer.
Oh yeah, and I mean, especially playing with a couple of those centers there, like he could really two of the best passers of all time, passing it to him. He could shoot.
I'll just say I'd be like Besser. You're right. In a position like that, he needs to go to a good spot for him.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he can drive your team's offense.
He's so much like Toffoli to me.
Totally.
He's so much like Toffoli in his prime.
Yeah.
Where it's like a complimentary winger that can fire it in the net from anywhere, but can't
Put him
really
on a
drive.
good team, he'll
but
really
can't
help.
drive the play.
Which, we've
It's
seen
fine.
guys like Carter Verhaeghe or even Rodriguez or some of those guys, they can help.
As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Also, Claude Giroux signing with the Ottawa Senators, a one-year deal. Yeah, this one struggled here. I think they were looking for the old Corey Perry type of contract. They settled in at $2 million, though.
Could earn up to 4.75 if he has a good enough year.
Games played or
games
points?
Played. Games played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the breakdown here. Hold on.
So that'll be an interesting one. I like that. I like Giroux. I like that he's in Ottawa. He seems content there. Lots going on around the league.
We didn't talk about the draft.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys want to do that, or should we go on with?
No, let's just stick with. I mean, we'll save that towards the latter part of the show when we absolutely have exhausted everything.
Yeah, it was lean.
Okay, stop it.
All right,
Stop it.
Gulletson.
Ehlers.
Oh, Ehlers.
Ehlers.
All right, what do you got on Ehlers?
I think he's just made up his mind a while ago that he just does not want to finish his career in Winnipeg. So LA, Carolina, and I think Chicago was the third one I heard.
I want to ask you about Marner in LA. That seems to be, is that spot number 2?
They're under a ton of pressure to find a way to beat Edmonton.
LA
Put it that
needs
way.
some dynamic players. So Marner or Ehlers, sure.
Yes,
but
and Brock Besser, like they need goal scoring. They need help. I think if Marner finds himself still open July 1st at 12 noon. Why wouldn't you listen to everything?
There was
everything.
Report, I believe, from LeBrun.
Yeah.
Said that LA was looking to fly out July 1st, meet with Marner on July 2nd.
Yeah.
That this Vegas news might change that, but they are a team that has serious interest in Marner.
The only thing is to Sammy's point, I think between the state of New York and California, it doesn't bode well for tax dollars.
Oh, not a factor though.
No, it does.
Well, no, the commissioner says it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Not a factor.
I'd like to remind people that I mentioned it to the commissioner on this show too. Do you remember the answer?
Yeah, he scoffed. He just scoffed. Anything you challenge him on that has a bit of value that people talk about, he immediately gets defensive and he starts turning it. It's like, there's something here.
Okay, I'm sorry I mentioned that.
Aaron Ekblad just signed for
California has tough state
$6
tax.
in a bag of peanuts for 8 years. It's like, oh, that's fine. No problem. Anyways, sorry.
All right.
What else?
We got Gulletson going back to Dallas.
Going back to Dallas.
I mean,
I've seen this scenario before.
That good. Hey?
No, it's just like you get rid of the perception is that Peter DeBoer was a hard ass and that we're going to bring in someone else that's more player friendly. Does it work? Does it not work? I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But
these are the type of bets, were I an owner hiring a GM or a coach, that I would make on a guy who has been a head coach multiple times. He spent 2 years in Calgary, 2 years in Dallas.
Yeah.
Above 500 in all places, made playoffs once. And has been an assistant coach on a team that's been in the Cup final the last couple of years. I think
7 years in Edmonton.
That's a pretty good resume for a guy who's been around the league and has an idea of what he wants to be. It's funny because when we were in our group chat talking about DeBoer and his success and all he does is take teams, go back and look at the start of his career in Gulletson's, and it's like, yeah, DeBoer made the playoffs once in his first 7 years. these guys are like defensemen. Sometimes it takes a minute to find their voice and know who they are. So I like the bet.
I mean, look at the learning curve of Paul Maurice over his career.
Great example.
And once upon a time, he was the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and like nobody looked at him twice.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's regarded as one of the best coaches in the history of the game.
It is funny that he was a Leafs coach, and it's like,
right? And in Winnipeg, of course, he had much more success.
Also the
and he
coach
was
of the Marlies for a year.
climbing the ladder, right? But then you hit it.
Yeah.
Right place, right time.
yeah, right voice for the right roster. Anyway, we'll see if they can figure it out there. Boston did a bunch of stuff.
Geeky?
Morgan Geeky, 6 years, $33 million. They also signed Yoki Harju, Beecher, and DiPietro. Okay, the Bruins are gonna be bad. Hi. All right, they're gonna be bad.
Be nice.
And it's okay.
It would look good on him.
But it's okay.
It would look good on
They've
him.
had a lot of success.
Tons
lot
and
of
tons
years,
since 2010.
a lot of playoff
they've
gates.
just won and won and won.
If they have to take one step back to take two forward, it's okay.
It's about time.
Okay.
It's about time. You know, it's just like they've been, like you said, like there's downswings with franchises. They've been around the playoffs for however many years. They've been really good for a long
legitimately
time.
15 years.
Yes.
They've been probably one of the three winningest franchises.
Yeah.
Or all of Marchand's
And,
career.
Did you
and
see the
Marchand's now that news trickles in that they might want to take a crack at him.
So they're not going to pay him.
His family's still there. They didn't go to Florida.
Marchand's family is.
Yeah.
Any chance? I just don't see any chance he goes back there. Their roster next year.
Well,
But why would they pay him what he wants now when they had a chance to pay him before and they didn't?
they wanted the first rounder, I guess. I don't know. Could you convince him? Oh, we loved you this whole time,
Yeah.
but we got a first
We
rounder
just
for
wanted
you.
to. Yeah, now we're better. Right? Do you think you're still here and we have a first?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, their D's all right. McAvoy, Lindholm, Zadorov, Lorai.
Yeah.
LA also wants a crack at Marchand too.
Yeah.
How about, like, who would?
I know.
LA is clearly like sitting on a wad of money being like, we need guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, they
we're-
do. They do, and there's still that. As good as Kopitar is, he cannot be your top guy to try to beat
He's going to age out at some point here.
McDavid and
Yeah.
company.
But
He
is,
might have a
is
year.
Marchand going to be that guy? I guess he just was with Florida, but
Yeah.
he was really good. Anyways. we're gonna talk about the draft.
Tarasenko traded to the Wild by the Red Wings.
Yeah.
He's hanging in there, isn't he?
I guess.
Well, yeah, I think he had 33 points last year. He makes $4.75 million. Traded him for nothing.
Yeah.
They got the future considerations back.
The old FCs. Okay, the draft was in
Okay.
Los Angeles. Kip, I
Yeah.
got the impression that you watched it.
I did.
I watched the first pick and then I watched the Chase game. So
Yeah, it's kind of tough, especially the technical part where the couple of teams got hung out to dry talking to their prospect. It's like
That's tough, man.
2025 and we can't figure out, I guess, a Zoom call line or,
Well,
it's
particularly-
technical. I get it. It's still you're at the mercy.
Doug McLean figures it out every Friday.
No, I'm not giving him a pass.
No? Okay,
No,
all right.
no. This is a
Okay, I'm
big,
trying.
big stage.
Yeah.
You got to have all
Yeah.
the wrinkles de-wrinkled if you want to do
Yeah.
it that way. And the league is probably just going to go, we didn't want to do it like this. But you did agree to do it like that, so you should do it right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's no world that anybody can justify that being a 4.5 hour show for one
So,
round.
Hold on now. So
Was it 4.5?
I turned on the TV at like 11 o'clock and it was still on. What? Is there not time limits on picks? And did I miss? Did they change it
Uh,
for
But
this
th- th-
format?
There is the time limits, but then it was 2-minute picks, but then they would go do their Zoom chat with like
Forget the Zoom
they would go
chat.
stand there, and then they would have to do that, and then they would go talk to Ehlers, who did a good job. They would do like all these steps, and then they'd have to go back to the.
Well, that's
thing.
not 2 minutes.
Forget no.
Zoom chats took
It
a
was
long time.
5 minutes for them to get out of their seat and have to high five every other prospect. Like, what is that?
No, that's a thing, though.
Like,
That's a thing.
it's 5
Chip.
minutes for them to get to somebody, to get to somebody, to get to somebody,
I like
to get to somebody.
60 seconds to get to the front
And
of the pick is void.
How many times can someone stick a microphone in their face and go, how does it feel? Like you've repeated yourself like 5 times before the next pick. Uncle.
I don't know.
Uncle.
But a lot of that is just the way it has to be. You know, like it.
Well, then live with your 4.5 hour show for one round.
Yeah. Isles got a couple of guys that, you remember the Bruins draft where they had 3 picks in a row and people were like, oh, they could get Barzal, Connor, and it was Shillington here.
No, it wasn't. It was someone better than that. It was Barzal,
Kyle Connor.
Let me look.
There's 3 anyway, and they picked maybe one of the guys. Oh, it might have been DeBrusque. It was DeBrusque.
Yeah, it was DeBrusque.
And anyway, the Isles actually got the 2 best guys on the board. So they end up with 3 first-rounders that everyone's pretty happy with. They didn't trade up to get Hagens. Boston got him, but I like the Isles draft. I was happy with that.
It could be a team in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they're not teaming.
It was
Who did they just trade? Didn't they just?
Dobson traded to Montreal.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. The 2015 draft.
Mayfield's on the block apparently.
The 2015 draft, they took Jacobs, Borrell, and DeBrusque, and around that it was Barzal, Kyle Connor, and Thomas Chabot.
That
was the 3 rip. But somebody took, Boston. Oh, yeah, they took, and what was the name said again?
Senishin.
Yeah, Senishin. They took those 3, and then the next 3 were all pretty Studs. So, tough pounds.
Anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so tomorrow is free agency day. Do you think the trades continue happening in the lead up to this? What are we to anticipate?
Just to go back to the draft, were you not really surprised that we oh my God, pick number 47 for 62, 71, 34.
Yeah.
Save a couple of those big ones. I don't understand why they couldn't have saved Dobson for the show.
Oh, like the trade?
Yeah. I mean, help the show out.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold it.
But what professional league would that ever happen?
I don't know. I mean,
the longer you hold it, the more it's not official. Something could happen. Somebody could swoop in. You just got to push stuff over the line.
I hate it when you're right against me.
It's very rare.
I know.
It's very rare.
I really expected more bodies to be moved during the show.
I'm sure the league would like there to have been.
Well, that's the whole
point. They
point.
had a red little button called a trade button.
And
they wanted to.
Who's the basketball player in Montreal? He was there to make a pick, and he didn't get to make the pick.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
No, Dort was there.
I thought it was Shea.
He was there. No,
I think it was Shea, man.
Some decent celebrities, right? Happy Gilmore for Boston.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Very cool. Video style, right?
I'm sorry, I was watching the Jays game.
A couple of people I didn't recognize, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm old.
It was definitely Shea.
I mean, I don't think it was.
Okay. Anyways, we don't have to argue. So Jake says Dort. So Jake knows everything. The voice of God says
it goes
Dort.
back to normal next year.
Oh, he gotta.
Yes.
Gotta. Back to the Sphere.
Eat
they
the
owe
2-3
it.
schmill.
Yeah.
Here you go, Mr. Sphere.
They owe it. They owe it.
Yeah.
Gotta go back to the Sphere.
And then in terms of the Leafs on free agency day, do you anticipate them signing guys?
I think they have to be really aggressive for sure. Yeah, I do.
Like for the bigger names.
They gotta move on off of Marner. They gotta appreciate the nibbling around the edges, but you're gonna have to hit someone that can come in and be legit top 6.
That's my one thing with the Maccelli thing. You can't be like, that's what we did.
No.
It's like, no. You need a guy.
There's no way. Well, at least he replaced Cowan on the second line of the Daily Faceoff
That's
thing.
right.
So they're
not on Daily Faceoff.
Marchand, where does he tomorrow at this time? Where will we
I'm
talk?
nervous that he stays in Florida.
I think
he stays in Florida too. And it's gonna break my little heart when he signs there for 4 years, 50 cents a year.
Let's wait. What a league, eh? When guys are just giving out discounts left, right, and center.
Love to be able to afford to give people a discount.
I wonder why he did that.
On the eve of free agency, we are back tomorrow. What time again, Sammy? So I don't screw it up.
1 to 3 p.m. Eastern.
Enjoy your night.